Okay, everyone, we are working on page 167 in your textbook, so make sure you are there. Pause the video if you're not. And of course, we're going to circle our verb and underline our noun or noun phrase. So we're going to write a flowchart proof. Okay, we're doing that so that we can do it as a two-column proof. Then we're going to write a flowchart proof. Okay, but our end goal, of course, is always to go to that two-column proof. But the flowchart is our way of getting there. So on this page, I'll let you take a chance to, or a second to look at this, but it's going to have our given and our proof. Okay, when you look at a flowchart, it is a way of finding the things that we need and the reason in order to get there. So, for instance, here, we're trying to get our proof that these are congruent. So in my brain, I'm thinking ASA, SAS, SSS, AAS, any of those. Okay. So it's going to connect this to the flowchart, even though normally we would use the flowchart to get to the two-column proof. Okay. So right here it says DB bisects AC. That's a given. Here's our reason down here. So these are our statements that are in the box. That's what you're doing. And then we will get to our final answer with a reason. So here in this column, just to show you kind of how we get to this end result here, is I'm showing congruence, congruence, congruent in the side. So that's going to be an SSS. That's how our flowchart is going to work. Now, sometimes we use multiple steps like this to get to congruence. Once we have congruence, we might be proving something else. So the congruence, the triangle congruence, might lead to another piece of the proof. Okay? So we are going to look at this one right here just for a second so you can kind of see how it works. So notice they have a given here. This is kind of our starting point if we need it. We have our given here. And then what it is working with, it goes to the side. So if I know that these two sides are parallel, okay, and then it kind of jumps here, but it needs the idea that these are parallel, okay? Because it says alternate interior angle. So I'm going to take a glance over here. When the two sides are parallel and it's cut by that transversal, we're kind of, it's a line segment, but we're treating it like a transversal, then we form alternate interior angles, okay? So based on this, it says angle QPR, so QPR and SRP, those are congruent. Okay, so that's an A. Now I'm going to do SPR, SPR, and QRP. Okay. And then over here, I have PR and it says PR and PR. Sometimes we do PR and sometimes we do RP. So we have this. So if you look the way that these are going to be, that means that we have angle, then side, then angle. Okay. Angle, side, angle. Okay. So here I might see A and I might see an A and I might see a side link. But if you follow it, you have to follow it. Remember, angle, side, angle. You have to follow the pathway. Okay. So I need these three things to help prove that these are congruent. Okay. Then I would transfer them over here. Notice it literally follows my pathway. Okay. And then this one is kind of on its own because it's not related to these. Okay? Okay, so you are going to be on page 168, and it says, although you can use the flowchart format for any proof, flowchart proofs are usually most useful in longer proofs because they show how steps are logically interconnected. The following sequence of steps will help you plan and write your own flowchart proof. Okay? You will use the diagram and statements below to prove the opposite sides in the diagram are parallel. Opposite sides in the diagram are parallel. Then it gives you M is the midpoint of BD and M is the midpoint of AC. So we actually know two different midpoints. Okay. Hopefully that tells you something as far as your proof goes. Okay. Now, before we move on, I do want you to write this down because we actually need it for our proof, and I think we might have talked about it, but we really haven't gone over it. I want you to write this down. CPCTC, congruent, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Write this down because we're going to need it for the proof. Okay? All that means is I'm going to set these up so that they are not rotated or anything. We're going to pretend Miss Walker knows how to draw. And what it's saying is, if we know these are congruent, if we have proven that they are congruent, maybe that's part of your proof, is proving congruency. That means these are congruent. This is congruent. These are congruent because they correspond. This is congruent. Okay? That's what that means. So once you prove congruency, or if you are given that the triangles are congruent, then you can say CPCTC, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. You will need it. I've included that as part of the proof for later, okay? Since you haven't done this by yourself before. Okay, so now I hope I'm on the right page with y'all. I put that this is on page 169. And so your job is you're using this. What is some information that I know? If M is the midpoint of BD, then what is information that I can know? So I want you to, it says write a paragraph. I don't care if it's a paragraph, but this is important. I want you to write down some things that you know, not just the given. What are things that the given tells you? For instance, if we have a midpoint, if M is the midpoint of BD, what does that tell you? Okay, based on the definition of midpoint. Okay, so do that. It's probably going to take a couple minutes, so pause the video and do that now. And then we're going to be using that information right here. Okay, we're going to be using that information right here. Okay, so the information that's in your paragraph, you're going to transfer that here. Remember, this is your statement. Okay, so here's what I would do. You're going to be kind of flipping back and forth. You are filling this out. It's on page 171, but you're using the information that you're seeing on page 169 and 170 to complete this. Okay, so what I will tell you is right here should be some sort of congruency. Okay, is it ASA? Is it SSS? What is it? Is it AS? Okay, figure that out. But here you should be proving that these two triangles are congruent. Okay, once you know they're congruent, then you can give some sort of angle part here. Notice I put here, two possible answers are given. Okay, so hopefully you know here is a given, here is a given. Start with this given based on the paragraph you wrote or the information that you put. That tells you something right here. Okay. Maybe it is a line segment, maybe it is an angle, I don't know. But remember right here, we're going to be proving that our triangles are congruent. So figure out this so that you can figure out whether our triangles are congruent. I'm sorry, I'm not speaking well, still not feeling well. And then on the last one, I gave you a lot of help here. I'm giving you the reason, which is why we're doing 7. Okay, so it says if two lines are cut by a transversal and alternate interior angles are congruent, then that tells you the lines are parallel, which is the final part of the proof. So your final proof statement should be here. Okay, so my suggestion right now is pause the video, work on this alone. If your teacher in here allows you to work with somebody right now, you may, but I don't want you to do that until you have tried it alone. And it is up to the teacher based on behavior. Okay?